like, I just love that you trust me with that information, because you're right. I'm not gonna roll up on you. I'm not gonna stalk you. Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. So it's been just over 3 months that I've been living here in New York City. And I figured I'd give y'all a little update slash give myself and future self a little update on how I'm feeling 3 months into being in the city. This is inspired by a question I got from the lovely Avery. I'm doing an interview on Avery's blog. I'll link it to you when it's live. And Avery actually asked me a question inspired by an interview I did with the lovely Abaddon, and I'll also link that interview. That's a video interview. And the question was around the way we tell ourselves these stories, like, once I move to New York, I will X, Y, or Z. And when I was in Maryland, I definitely had this idea that once I moved to New York, not that my life would begin, but I had all these ideas, right? And I wanted to get here to New York so I could start living this idea. And in my response to Avery, I realized what I really love about New York, of course, there's things about the city itself that I love, but what I'm actually really in love with is this idea of who I am in the city, who I become, and what story I am telling about New York by me being here. I think one of the overarching stories we get about the city is one of like, this is where dreamers, this is where creators come to sort of make it. This is where people who are ambitious and who have a lot of talent, this is where they come. It's this hub of all this, the arts and the culture, society and all these things. Like, New York City is the place to be if that's something that you care about. And by me being here in the city and essentially adopting the things, like big and small, that New York, I think, sort of proclaims itself to be, I then feel like I am a part of something bigger than me, and I feel like I am sort of realizing myself. There's small ways I found myself really feeling like, yes, I belong here. A simple one is this haircut and just having dyed hair. Walking around the city, I live in Brooklyn, I constantly see all manners of dyed hair, and I love it. It makes me very, very, very happy. And I think in part it's because it's like, yes, this is like me. I belong here. One of the things I like to do whenever I move to a new city is I like to buy a pair of shoes that encapsulate that city. So when I moved to LA, within like the first week, I bought a pair of Vans. I was like, I live in LA now, okay? Before coming here to New York, I bought a pair of Doc Martens because I was like, I'm gonna be a Brooklyn girl, I'm gonna need my Doc Martens. And so every time I'm like sort of on the train and I see someone with a pair of Doc Martens, I just smile. And I know it's because I'm telling myself like, okay, you found a place where you belong. It's summertime now, so I've also gone out and I got a pair of these like faux, these aren't Birkenstocks, it's a different brand, but like that Birkenstock style sandal. And so I'll be out and about and I'll see so many other men and women wearing them, and I'm just like, yes, yes, I belong here. These are my people. And I realized that when I was walking along one of the streets in my neighborhood that has like, you know, like shops and the cafes and bookstore and like the outdoor places and acupuncture and massage and like the you know, all the different things, all the very like quintessential New York things. And I remember when I first walked through that street feeling this sense of intimidation, this sense of, one day I will walk through this street and I will feel like it is my street. One day I will eat at this breakfast taco spot. One day I will get a cup of tea and, you know, sit outside in this one restaurant. One day I'll have brunch on the patio of this one place. And that sort of being these like inner markers of, once I do these things, then I'll belong. And I had a really beautiful experience where truly not a couple of weeks ago, I went to the exact taco spot that I sort of walked by and be like, oh, that place looks cool. It'd be cool to go there. And me and this friend, we went and we had a couple tacos and had this beautiful conversation. And I didn't realize it until I was actually sitting there, where I was just like, oh, this is that thing that I dreamed about. This is that thing that I wanted. And as I walked through the street with like my dyed hair, looking all good, feeling all good, smelling all good, my cousin, she gave me a YSL perfume for being her bridesmaid. The way I am smelling good in these streets, y'all, it is, I highly recommend. I highly recommend it. My dad was actually talking to me about Nigeria, doing a trip back, but maybe now isn't the right time because they'd be snatching people up. And he was like, especially, you know, y'all as Americans walking through, Americans just smell like money. And I was like, and literally earlier that day, I was walking like out of my apartment smelling this perfume, and I was like, I smell like money. So I want to say, if y'all are in a space in your life where you're feeling broke, get yourself some perfume and be like, how can I be poor when I smell this good? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. I realized that in real time, I'm creating an idea of myself, and New York City is essentially letting me be this person that I want to be. And actually, the city for me is just a mirror of my own development. And it's like, okay, which things are important to you? And the city is letting me see just how important they are. So for instance, I have yet to do like a night out in terms of like dancing here in the city. I've got plans this Thursday. I'm feeling pretty good about not flaking, like actually going to those plans. Getting a ride is a big part because I don't want to spend money on Ubers and I don't want to be by myself on the trains. And so I haven't like gone out, you know, wearing a skimpy outfit and done the whole thing, right? Part of me realizes that I think I want that, but anything you actually want, you get. What I really want is to lie in my bed and stare at the clouds. And that's what I spend a lot of time doing. That's what I really want. But I'm interested to actually have this experience to see, is it something that I just needed to check off my list? Or is it actually a part of like my expression? Because I love to dance and I'm good at it. Is it a part of my expression that actually being here in New York City will really allow me to like live into? I have not dated a single person. It's only been 3 months. Though being this fly, it is notable. But yeah, I have not dated anyone since being here in the city. I am very tempted to download the apps just to like have the experience of dating again, but it doesn't quite feel aligned, it doesn't quite feel intentional, and I'm really not interested in wasting people's time, y'all. Like, I feel like I've done enough of that. Let me know, men in the comments, let me know. Would you want to go on a date with me if you knew that I was just there to like have a nice conversation, flirt, because I love to flirt and I'm also very good at it, eat some delicious food, have a nice experience, and then take my ass home and never talk to you again? Would you want that? Because you would get to hang out with me and you'd have fun? Or are you like, no, if it's not gonna lead to something, at least something, you know, something somewhere somehow, if there's no possibility of anything, let me just stay my ass at home and be sad and lonely, girl. I'm not taking you out for $100 date, you know. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I remember that a thing that would happen every like 3 months would be this conversation about $200 dates, and it'd be this thing about like, are y'all going out on dates? Or can a date just be a walk in the park? It was so interesting. Now that I've gone out to get dinner in the city, I'm like, no. A $200 date is nothing. That's literally just a meal. That's just like a regular ass meal in the city. Which is to say, I can't speak on dating. I know it's a big part of like why people think about moving into a city. I ain't got nothing to you on that. But I must say, I really love living here. It's nice to feel more relaxed about growing my social network. I was really intense when I lived in LA about like going out all the time and meeting people and trying to get friends and feeling safety through that sense of belonging. And I think because I now have more belonging like in my own heart and in my own spirit, that sort of all of the city is acting as this container for belonging. I have more faith and more trust that the people who resonate will just sort of come into my life as they're supposed to. I don't really need to rush or like really force any of those connections to happen, which has been really nice. It's just a much more chill way of being in the city. One thing that I've noticed, and it doesn't surprise me because it's just a reflection of my nature and what I want, is just how much the city to me is not this like hustle bustle place, but it's actually very calm and very relaxing. And I do think that's just a reflection of my life. Like, I don't live a life where I have to catch a train every day. So when I go outside, it's to go for a walk, it's to go to the park. And the park is full of people on a weekday afternoon who are just hanging out, living their best life, vibing. And I'm just like, oh wow, you know, like it's not this really hectic energy. When I first got here, it felt more like that because I was going from truly like the suburbs of Maryland to the city, and I was like, whoa, and it kind of overwhelmed me. But I think I've normalized to it, so I've gotten used to it, and as a result, it doesn't feel as intense as like, oh my gosh, New York City. I had someone in my comments, I think they were talking about moving to New York, and I could tell they really had it built up in the way I have and to some extent still do, about like, you gotta be careful in New York, you gotta like have your guard up in New York. And I was like, it's just a city. Like, it's not that serious. It really is just a city. You're gonna be fine. Like, you know, you figure it out. You just figure it out. You just get on the train enough times. You get off on one stop, get on another stop. Some are local, some are express. It's a vibe. Like, it's all cool. And one thing I'm starting to realize, if you know where to go, you can get cheap food too. Groceries, they're more than I would would prefer, but it's keeping me intentional about what I buy, and I'm not mad at that. Some of the things, let me tell you some of the things that I want to do while I'm in the city. I've already had a brunch. I'd love to have more. So I'm not really a drinker, so I think part of what makes brunch fun is like being really very tipsy at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not really my vibe anymore. I had my first bagel the other day. It was delicious. Love that. That's when I knew it was real. That's when I knew I could make this video, is when I had my first bagel. I watched this video of these designers making over this living room space. It was like this penthouse in New York City. The one guy designed his to be like very cool, and he said this is the kind of spot where like after a night out you like go back for the after party, and like this is where it's at. And I was like, that sounds fun. So I want to go out, and then I want to go to an after party that's like, you know, the like kind of chill, hang, like cool down spot in someone's like nice penthouse apartment. And I'm like, this is nice. I still haven't rode the ferry. I'd like to do that one time. I'd love to visit the Statue of Liberty. I've only seen it from very far away, like near the Brooklyn Bridge. So that would be cool. I was thinking about how you could like live here for 100 years and you could live like 5,000 different lives, because there's just so much to choose from. I'm excited to just sort of explore more and meet more people and have more fun. And I'm also very happy with the pace that it's going at, so I'm also in no rush. I feel very grateful. One of my first, it was actually a coaching client who got me back into talking about coaching on my channel, because I kind of stopped. She asked me, this was back when I was in Maryland, she asked me, so where are you with like moving to New York? And I was just like, you know, I was trying to force it, but I gotta just like, I had to give that to God, you know? And sometimes when I say I'm giving something to God, what I really mean is that I'm giving up on it. Because I don't think I can do it myself, which means I don't think it's gonna happen. And I'm sure she realized that, because when I said that, she was like, I feel so called. Usually I'm not the kind of person to give people advice, but I'm feeling so called in this moment to tell you that you need to move to New York. Like, it's important, you need to go there. And I was just thinking this morning about how grateful I am to her, because I'm truly so happy here. My life here it's been such a healing experience being here, because I really feel God's love in ways big and small. Like from my bedroom, I can stare and see the moon. Like I can see the full moon from my bed and stare directly at it and weep, which I do often. Like, and I love the moon. And that's the kind of like prayer that I didn't even know I had as a prayer, that I could see the full moon from my bed. And God was like, here you go. And I'm like, wow, thanks God. So like God has just been blessing me in so many ways in this city. And even just being here, because I wanted to be here, itself is a blessing. And I'm just very humbled, very grateful. And if there's a place you want to live, there's a reason you want to live there. So if you've been scared to move, this is your sign to move. Go to that place you want to be. Like, there's a version of you that is waiting for you. It's waiting to be realized, and you get to be that person when you go. And I'm so glad I get to experience being Brooklyn Chimdi, because I love Brooklyn Chimdi. She's so cool. I love that I get to be her. Thank you, Patreon people. Y'all are the best. Let me know in the comments, where do you live? What's your address? And literally in like one of my first voice notes to her, she told me her full address and her full place of work. And I was like, I just love that you trust me with that information, because you're right. I'm not gonna roll up on you. I'm not gonna stalk you. You can tell me your home address and it's fine. So if you feel comfortable, pop in your home address in the comments below. And I do have the hottest subscribers, so if you are hot, I might roll up on you, but I won't. I respect your privacy. Okay, bye.